Welcome back to ABC General Hospital. Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the brewing romantic storm surrounding Drew Kane and a potential unexpected alliance that could shake up Port Charles forever. Drew's struggling bond with Willow. Drew Kane's determination to build a stable life with Willow is hanging by a thread as the escalating custody battle over their shared children poisons every interaction they have. What started as a passionate reconnection after years of separation has devolved into a battlefield of accusations and manipulations, with Willow increasingly viewing Drew as a mere ally in her fight against Michael's influence rather than a true partner. Imagine the tension in their latest scenes. Drew pleading in the dimly lit Quartermain mansion. Willow, we can overcome this together. Only for her to respond with a cold stare. Her mind clearly elsewhere, calculating how his support bolsters her legal stance without committing her heart. This dynamic isn't just strained. It's irreparably fractured as Willow's loyalty shifts toward protecting her family unit at all costs, leaving Drew to question if their love was ever more than a convenient shield. Adding to the heartbreak, Drew's impulsive decisions during the custody hearings, like publicly challenging Michael's parenting, have only deepened the rift, turning what could have been a reconciliatory arc into a tale of mutual resentment. As the weeks unfold, viewers can sense Willow's growing detachment. Her subtle gestures, like avoiding his touch or shortening conversation, signaling the end of their chapter, forcing Drew to confront a lonely future amid the ruins of his choices. Drew's growing isolation in Port Charles. Drew's recent actions have painted him as the town's most reviled figure, alienating friends, family, and potential allies in a web of self-inflicted drama that leaves few doors open for redemption. From his aggressive confrontations at the Metro Court to his underhanded tactics in boardroom battles at ELQ, Drew's aggressive pursuit of power has turned even neutral acquaintances against him, whispering about his unforgivable betrayal behind closed doors. Picture the scornful glances from Carly as she navigates her own complicated loyalties, or the outright dismissal from Ned, who once saw potential in Drew, but now views him as a destructive force. This isolation extends to romantic prospects. Women like Na or even Sasha might hesitate, scarred by Drew's history of emotional volatility and his tendency to prioritize ambition over vulnerability. Yet, in the soap's tradition of second chances, this rock bottom could spark transformation. Perhaps Drew seeking solace in unexpected corners of Port Charles, reevaluating his life choices through heartfelt confessions to a therapist or a quiet moment at the docks. However, with his reputation in tatters, any new connection will require careful navigation as the town's gossip mill churns out rumors that could sabotage budding interests before they bloom. Drew's path forward demands humility, but his pride might prolong the solitude, setting the stage for a desperate leap into unfamiliar arms. Britt Westburn's shadowy entanglements. Enter Britt Westburn, the enigmatic doctor whose life is a powder keg of hidden agendas and perilous alliances, drawing her deeper into a vortex that threatens her very existence. Ritz involvement in a clandestine medical trial rumored to involve experimental treatments tied to her Huntington's Disease has her compromising her ethics. Smuggling sensitive data under the cover of night at General Hospital's labs. She's not just risking her career. Lives hang in the balance as her covert dealings with shady figures could unleash unintended consequences on innocent patients, echoing the flaws and legacy of deception that haunts her family tree. Jason Morgan, ever the steadfast enforcer, has been her anchor, gently coaxing her towards self-belief. During late-night stakeouts, whispering, "You're more than your father's shadow. Bridget, you choose who you are." But Brit's doubts fester, fueled by suppressed truths about her brother, Nathan's unresolved mysteries, and the lingering specter of Caesar Faison's manipulations, which she guards like a closely held curse. This internal turmoil manifests in her guarded demeanor, pushing away vulnerability, even as Jason's loyalty pulls her closer, creating a push-pull dynamic ripe for explosive revelations. Inventing a new layer. Perhaps Brit uncovers a hidden file linking her project to a Port Charles conspiracy involving old Casadini tech, forcing her to weigh loyalty against survival in ways that redefine her identity. The fragile spark between Jason and Brit. Jason and Brit's budding romance simmers with intensity. Yet, it's built on fragile foundations that could crumble under the weight of unspoken secrets. Their connection forged in high-stakes chases through the waterfront warehouses blends Jason's quiet strength with Brit's sharpwood, promising a partnership that contrasts the usual Port Charles pairings. Envision stolen moments in Jason's sparse penthouse where Brit traces the scars on his hands, murmuring, "You fought so many battles, let me fight this one with you." Only for Jason to sense the barriers she erects. However, as Brit's deceptions unravel, perhaps a leaked empty mail exposing her role in the risky project, their trust erodus, leading to heated arguments that echo through the halls of GH's attempts to redeem her, drawing from his own code of honor, might backfire if Brit perceives it as pity, prompting her to lash out and sever ties in a fit of self-sabotage. This trajectory hints at a classic soap pivot. What begins as passion devolves into pain, leaving Brit adrift and questioning her worth, much like the isolated souls who crossed Jason's path before. The writers seem poised to exploit this vulnerability, amplifying the drama with cliffhangers that tease Brit's confession and Jason's reaction. A potential collision. Drew and Brit unite. In the aftermath of these personal upheavals, could Drew and Brit find solace in each other's arms, forging an unlikely bond born from shared outcast status? Both navigating the dregs of Port Charles society, Drew as the fallen hero, Brit as the tarnished healer. They might cross paths at a dimly lit bar on the outskirts, bonding over whiskey and tales of betrayal. Drew, still raw from Willow's rejection, could see in Brit a kindred spirit, unburdened by the town's judgments, offering her the validation Jason's intensity sometimes overlooks. Inventing a fresh twist, their encounter escalates during a stormy night when Brit seeks refuge from pursuers tied to her project. And Drew, ever the opportunist, steps in with his military-honed instincts, sparking in electric chemistry. What starts as a flirtatious one escape could evolve into something deeper, with Drew charming Brit through vulnerable admissions like, "I've lost everyone who mattered. Don't let me lose you too," mirroring her own fears of unworthiness. Brit in turn might find Drew's rough edges comforting. A man who embraces flaws without the moral weight Jason carries, leading to steamy scenes that blend passion with peril. This pairing wouldn't lack conflict. Their combined baggage could ignite jealousies and schemes, but it promises the messy, addictive drama fans crave. Jason's fierce response and broader implications. Jason's discovery of Drew's interest in Britt would unleash his legendary protectiveness, transforming a personal slight into a full-blown rivalry that reverberates through Port Charles. Recalling how Drew pried Willow from Michael's grasp, Jason might view this as a calculated poach, fueling confrontations in the shadowy alleys where old grudges resurface. Stay away from her. Ken, she's not your rebound? Jason could growl during a tense standoff at the docks, his fists clenched as thunder rolls overhead. This triangle not only reignites Jason Britt's sparks, but also draws in the Corinthos clan with Sonny advising caution while Michael plots subtle interference. For Britt, caught between two worlds, the choice amplifies her internal crisis, perhaps culminating in a bold decision to explore with Drew, while leaving Jason haunted by what-ifs. Adding invented depth, this saga could tie into larger arcs like the medical project's fallout exposing corporate espionage at ELQ, intertwining romance with thriller elements. Ultimately, the disruption underscores General Hospital's theme of redemption through chaos, where broken hearts pave the way for unforeseen alliances. Next, we will learn about the electrifying return of Britt Westman and how her bold defiance is shaking up the shadows of Port Charles. Ever since Britt Westman stepped back into the bustling streets of Port Charles, her sharp tongue and unyielding spirit have been lighting up every scene she's in, captivating fans who crave that signature edge she brings to the drama. Picture this: Britt with her piercing gaze and no-nonsense demeanor facing off against the enigmatic Jen Sidwell in a tense confrontation at a dimly lit warehouse on the docks where the salty sea air mixes with the tension of unspoken threats. She's not just whispering retorts. She's declaring boundaries with the fire of someone who's danced with danger before, reminding us why she was always the queen of cutting comebacks. This resurgence of her classic attitude isn't just entertaining, it's fueling wild speculations among viewers that this Brit is the authentic article, untouched by the deceptions that have plagued her family. Unlike her brother, Nathan West, whose absence still echoes with unresolved mysteries from his tragic past, Brit's presence feels grounded, almost surreal in a town full of facades. Fans are buzzing on social media about how her pushback against Sidwell's demands, refusing to hand over crucial data on a hidden server without a fight, hints at deeper layers to her story, perhaps tying back to her own battles with trust and survival that we've seen unfold over the years. As the plot thickens, that fiery exchange with Sidwell sets the stage for an even bigger clash where Britt's reluctance to blindly follow orders sparks a chain reaction of rebellion. Imagine the scene: Sidwell with his cold, calculating smile and tailored suit that screams authority, leaning into close as he issues ultimatums about accelerating a covert project involving experimental tech smuggled from Europe. Britt doesn't flinch. Instead, she counters with a sly reminder of their initial pact. Her voice laced with sarcasm that cuts through the room like a knife. This isn't mere sass. It's a calculated move. That makes us wonder if Sidwell truly holds all the cards. Is he the puppet master or just another layer in a web of intrigue? Her ability to challenge him, even momentarily, plants seeds of doubt about his unchallenged power, especially when whispers of higher-ups circulate among the shady figures lurking in Port Charles' underbelly. Adding to the intrigue, Brit's history with betrayals. From her complicated ties to Lysoloric to her own brushes with mortality makes this standoff feel personal, as if she's drawing from a well of resilience built over countless close calls. A profound shock is about to ripple through the younger crowd in Port Charles as a daring escapade turns into a nightmare that could redefine alliances. Giovanni. Joe Palmieri, the tech-savvy teen with a knack for hacking firewalls. Emma. Scorpio Drake, ever the adventurous daughter of legends Robin and Patrick. And Rocco Falconer, whose street smarts come from his family's ties to the mob. These three are plotting a midnight break-in at Professor Henry Hank Dalton's fortified lab on the outskirts of town. The lab, a fortress of steel doors and humming servers hidden behind a facade of a rundown university annex, holds secrets about bioengineered serums that could alter lives forever. What they uncover isn't just files on Brit's involvement. It's visual evidence. Holographic projections of her overseeing late-night experiments. Her face illuminated by glowing vials that pulse with an eerie blue light. The discovery hits them like a tidal wave. Emma freezes, her eyes wide with betrayal as she recognizes Brit's handwriting on a manifest. Joe stumbles back, muttering about ethical violations that echo his own family's moral dilemmas. And Rocco, usually unflappable, clenches his fists, grappling with the implications for his Aunt Maxie's world. This revelation isn't abstract, it's visceral, stirring memories of past scandals like the Cassidy killings or the Metro Court hostage crisis, making the kids question every interaction they've had with Brit. Red flags wave high, her unexplained absences, the cryptic phone calls, the way she dodges questions about her travels. It's not easy for these young minds shaped by poor Charles' endless cycles of loyalty and lies to process that the woman they once saw as a flawed but fierce ally might be entangled in something far darker. In the wake of this explosive find, Brit's carefully constructed armor begins to crack, revealing glimpses of the vulnerability she so expertly hides beneath layers of wit and defiance. Later this week, as the dust settles from the break-in, Brit finds herself cornered in a quiet corner of the Quartermain mansion, her hands trembling slightly as she paces, phone in hand, debating whether to call for backup or bolt. The panic isn't just about exposure. It's a raw fear that bubbles up from her core, mixing with flashbacks to her Huntington's diagnosis that forced her into exile years ago. Will this pressure cooker moment strip away her tough exterior? Showing us a Brit who's not just scheming, but scared. Perhaps, confiding in an unexpected ear. Like her mother, Lysol, over a hurried video call, voice breaking as she admits the risks are mounting. This shift could humanize her arc, drawing parallels to Other Port Charles survivors like Jason Morgan, who faced their demons head-on. Fans speculate it might lead to a heartfelt scene where Britt reaches out to old flames or confidence. Her usual snarks softened by genuine worry, adding emotional depth to the high stakes thriller unfolding. The vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the spark that could ignite her fight back, turning panic into purpose as she navigates the fallout with a mix of cunning and courage. Shifting gears to the enigmatic Pascal, GH spoilers hint at a role that's perfectly tailored to his shadowy persona, though not quite the throne some theorists imagine. Forget the idea of him as the mastermind pulling levers. From afar, Pascal's vibe screams mid-level enforcer, the kind who thrives in the gritty backrooms rather than the spotlight. Back at the infamous 5 Poppy's nightclub, neon-drenched den of vice where deals go down on a myth. Thumping bass and swirling smoke. He was the handler extraordinary, keeping tabs on assets like Britt with a watchful eye and a firm hand, but control hardly. His directives to her barked over encrypted lines about sourcing rare isotopes for the project always carried the weight of someone else's authority. A ghostly command that made even Britt's spine stiffen. Picture Pascal in a dimly lit office. Naps of poor Charles sprawled across his desk, relaying orders with a reluctant nod. His loyalty bought not by ambition, but necessity. This fits his backstory seamlessly. A former operative with ties to international syndicates, now relegated to the trenches, perhaps driven by debts from a botched heist years back. The fear Britt shows isn't just for the boss. It's for the lifeline of meds they dangle. Experimental treatments that stave off her Huntington's flares. Turning every compliance into a desperate gamble. Adding layers, Pascal's new gig might involve mentoring rookies in the OP. His gruff advice laced with warnings about the elusive overlord, hinting at a network that spans from Port Charles to Berlin, where Faison's old allies still whisper in the dark. At the top of this precarious pyramid looms Jen Sidwell, whose position towers over Britt's, but not without its own enigmas that keep viewers guessing. Sidwell isn't just a figurehead. He's the gatekeeper to the pharmaceuticals Britt relies on, doling out doses like chess pieces in a high-stakes game, pills that blur the line between symptom relief and dependency, administered in sterile safe houses under his watchful eye. Is he the ultimate villain, orchestrating this revival of Caesar Faison's cold fusion initiative with Britt as his reluctant pawn, or merely a polished proxy for a more diabolical force? Envision Sidwell in a sleek penthouse overlooking the harbor, reviewing blueprints of fusion reactors that promise unlimited energy but hide weaponized potential. His calls to unseen superiors tur and differential deploying Britt makes twisted sense. Her medical expertise, forged in the fires of schemes and her own health struggles, positions her perfectly to crack the code Faison left unfinished after his demise. Yet Britt's ease in rebuffing him, storming out of meetings with a parting shot about overstepping their deal, her heels clicking defiantly on marble floors, signals she's no doormat. She's setting boundaries, perhaps leveraging dirt from her spy days to keep him at bay. revealing limits to her submission that could unravel the whole scheme. This dynamic echoes classic GH power plays, like the Cassadini's endless manations, where no one is truly untouchable. As tensions escalate, Sidwell's facade might slip, exposing cracks that invite deeper probes into who's really calling the shots. A shadowy counsel, a vengeful ex-ally, or even a familiar face from Port Charles past lurking just beyond the frame. Brit's stand isn't rebellion for its own sake. It's survival, pushing the narrative toward climactic confrontations that could redefine loyalties and legacies in the iconic soap.